Ξεκινάμε το έκτο πάνελ.
Let's start with the sixth panel of the AgriBusiness Forum.
Εστιάζει στον επιχειρηματικό
This
τομέα.
panel focuses on the business sector, challenges and opportunities. My name is Nikos Kokkalakis. I am the principal of Strategy Technics and advisory firm, and I'll be moderating this panel with Mr. Lambros Kalarrytis, who is a well-known journalist. We have great speakers with us today, and as far as I've read their resumes, they have great experience on this sector we're going to discuss in this panel. I'll start with Mr. Pilatis, who is the Vice President of the Hellenic Consumers of the General Federation. He is a mechanical engineer, and since 2012 he is member of the board and the president of the DICAP in Piraeus. Since 2017-2022 he is a general secretary, and until 2022, and today he is the Vice President of the Hellenic Consumers General Federation. He's at the heart of what we're talking about. On my right, Mr. Georgakellos, the Communication and Corporate Affairs Director in Athenian Brewery, an engineer as well, with an MBA from the National Technical University and from the London University, and he has been active since 1998. He has taken a lot of and been employed of very important positions, marketing manager, innovation managers, and since 2019 he is the communication and corporate director, and he is member of the Athenian Brewery as well. Mr. Apostolos Petalas is the general manager of the Hellenic Supermarkets Association. He has a very full resume on the sector of the consumers, on foods. He has studied business management on the Piraeus University. He started his career with Colgate. He was there employed on the financial department, and since 1999 he was the financial manager director in the PepsiCo. Up until then, he has been an advisor. From 2019 up till 2023, he was an advisor of the Furli companies. And since 2023, he's been the general manager of the Hellenic Supermarkets Association. And Mr. Pagoulatos comes next. His name is Thrassivoulos Pagoulatos. He is purchasing director of Metro ΑΕΒΕ. He has more than 25 years of experience in the food sector, and I'd like to read this out loud. The organized retail sector has and includes an organic value and magic aspect in order to solve problems that were considered as unsolved. So the retail sector and wholesale industry. We will have the opportunity to hear his speech later on. Hello everybody, thank you for the invitation, thank you for having all of these very important speakers with us. Let me just frame a very general framework so that you can make some remarks, because I understand that we have a wide spectrum and we're going to keep moving there within the next few years. Right now, during the last few years, we see that there is the normality is non-existent. We see a lot of evolvement, a lot of change. We see a lot of increase in the prices, and we have different things. Of course, like the pandemic hybrid wars, real wars, many things influencing the prices, and they of course shake up the international influxes. We've seen countries that pollute the environment and they've managed not to take responsibility for their actions. We're trying and we're seeing many nations trying to bring their productions back home. So we're seeing that we are closing this circle of globalization. We are trying to gain back control of the different roads, of the different supply chains. So only this framework alone does set a lot of challenges. So within this framework, please share us your thoughts with us based on these special features of your own sector. Mr. Petalas has a word.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. Representing the retail today in this session, actually the supermarkets, being the director of Hellenic Supermarkets Association, I think I have to tell you that we are the main association, the main body which connects the society with the food production, actually. And moreover, we have the luxury and the responsibility to know what happens within the society and to the food chain. Challenges are enormous. It is true that the biggest issue as far as the food change is concerned is the climate change. The climate change affects the quality, the quantity, the efficiency and the price of the products. But for the Greek market, the great adaptation that happened during the last 10 years that affected, of course, the income of the consumers, but also their psychology. As you already know, in order to work, for a market to work, we need income, adequate income, and good psychology. We are at a very crucial point because we face that every day to our food change. Another challenge in Greece is the difficulty we have in Greece to find well-organized units in order to be able to produce, to import, to release the products that are produced to the consumers, because we have a lot of small units, and that's why there are many steps from the pasture, from the land to the fork. So we have a lot to do as far as this procedure is concerned. Thank you very much for your remark. I have to point out that each remark should take more or less 5 minutes. Mr. Pagoulatos, Thrassivoulos Pagoulatos, thank you very much for the invitation. As far as what you have already said, Mr. Kalarrytis, it goes without saying that today the retail and industry face challenges and difficulties that arise from all the issues you have already mentioned before. If I have to label them, I have to to tell also that the producers have high costs because of the energy and the transportation, because of the high cost of the production too. Climate change, as it was already mentioned before, and the extreme weather have influenced the quality and the quantity of the products, and also the disease of the animals make the situation even more serious. To all this, we have the lack of manpower. At this point, it seems that we have to change our mentality and to reinvest, let's say, to the manual labor, which is something that lacks from the primary sector. It is very important and contributes for many reasons, either because of wars, either because of the changes of agreements, and this influence also the consumers, who changes their habits and look for products of high nutritional value, and more natural products, and also in competitive prices. So in this frame, the retail, we have two great challenges. The first one is the availability of products. The first thing first comes that we have to have the products to be bought. And second, but let's say not second, first as the first, that we have to safeguard our competitiveness in order to attract the consumers. Mrs. Antonakaki has the floor. Good morning. Thank you very much for my participation in this very interesting session. From my point of view, I would like to present a very different frame. Of course, we are all in the same topic for the challenges that arise, but I would like to focus on the reason why the central banks occupy with these issues. We have seen this general frame. We have multiple crises. We had an Aegean crisis, geopolitical crisis, climate crisis. All these crises are linked with the climate crisis, which are able to provoke instability to the financial system. We have already talked about the green politics and the authority decision-making that can lead to solutions. Of course, the international banks are also implicated to these solutions. The National Bank has a concrete from 2021 plan to face these problems. As Bank of Greece, we are among the first, if not the first, globally, starting from back 2009, which occupies with these issues. In 2011, we had the first results pointing out the problems of the climate crisis in the Greek society, and then since 2014 we have a permanent collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, and since 2019 with the same ministry, we take actions along for the climate and the climate changes. I would like to focus on the challenges of the climate crisis and also for the regulatory frame and how we can face all these difficulties. Mr. Georgakellos has the floor.
Καλημέρα, μάλλον καλησπέρα και από εμένα.
Good evening.
Να ευχαριστήσω και εγώ πάρα πολύ με τη σειρά μου για την πρόσκληση και τη δυνατότητα που μου δίνετε να συμμετάσχω στο συνέδριο και στο συγκεκριμένο πάνελ.
The participation in this session. More of the things I would like to say are already said. I would like to focus on 4 issues that concern this session. The first one is that all these challenges should be faced taking into consideration the final consumer. I am the representative of the Athenian Brewery, but the final consumer, the end consumer, is the one who faces difficulties with their income, who makes the choice of the final products and of the end products and actually gives the direction of the production. All these challenges should be faced according to how the average citizen here in Greece consume our products. So the second one
περιφερειοποιείται η παγκοσμιοποίηση και το πώς γίνεται ο καθένας από εμάς θέλει να ελέγξει και τις διαδρομές των πρώτων υλών ώστε να παράξει και να
The second one was about there was a comment on the product chain, on the supply chain, and I want to make the remark how the primary sector is linked with a direction we call it from the pasture to fork, and how this is connected with the academic world, and if there are the solutions on how this chain can become productive both for the producer and for the consumer. The third one is the regulatory frame, all the frames, institutional also, and how complex these frames are, and how complex, how difficult it is to lead the production in a frame that will not always support the entrepreneurship.
Τα τελευταία χρόνια σίγουρα επιδέχεται επιπλέον παρεμβάσεων. Και θα κλείσω με το τελευταίο κομμάτι που είναι και το σημαντικότερο από όλο νομίζω.
Which is the most important according to my point of view, that was already mentioned, is the manpower that in every single step of this procedure has a core role on how difficult it is to attract manpower and also to convince people on how difficult it is to create and work on their pasture, and that these work will be able to make a profit for them. But also the manpower in our field, also in the supermarkets and the production, and how difficult it is to find the right person with the right training or not for the right job to a frame which is very difficult to deal with. Mr. Pilatis has the floor. Good evening. I'm very happy being here with you. I want to tell that the relation of producer-consumer along with the consumer is an interrelation, we could say, is interdependent. I would like to say that Inca is the first consumer organization in Greece. Today we have more than 138,000 consumers for us. Members, consumer for us. We all are consumers. Our story begins back in 1970. We, the consumers, Inca, generally speaking, we want clean businesses, clean markets, clean products, clean prices. It is unfair for the businesses which are frauds to continue their work, and for the businesses who are good professionals to end their activity. I would like to give a very simple example. For example, for the feta cheese, for the dairy products, we need more or less 70% of sheep milk and 30% of goat milk. So if we change this percentage and we add also cow milk, the quality changes, so the production of this cheese becomes cheaper. And actually, we talk about a business which are frauds. We need clean businesses, not only with the operational structure, but also for the products they produce. We have a program which is the Reflex program, where the quantity of products is reduced while the packaging remains the same. This is the reflex phenomenon. This happens especially in the market in order not to decrease the price. For example, the margarine. It is a very important example. For example, 450 grams of margarine costs €5.97. A package of olive oil of 5 liter, and now it is Moreover, it's not efficient to make a comparison between the prices in our country, but let me just give you a piece of example. For example, pasta Barilla, which a brand which exists in Italy and in Greece, in Italy cost 1.13, and in our country costs 1.81 for the same grams. Same example as the margarine and olive oil example given before. So there is a commission of competitiveness that we know that they don't have the necessary manpower to make the necessary controls, and also the function is not correct. They have more or less 80 to 100% of 100 people of manpower personnel. Can we give the floor to the questions? The first question is,
ακούσαμε εδώ πέρα για όλη τη σειρά των μεγάλων προκλήσεων που αντιμετωπίζει αυτός ο κλάδος, αυτός ο χώρος. Όπως μαθαίνουμε στη διοίκηση επιχειρήσεων, κάθε πρόκληση πιθανότατα ή μάλλον σίγουρα μπορεί να κρύβει και ευκαιρίες. Οπότε η ερώτησή μου καταρχήν προς τους κυρίους που εκπροσωπούν επιχειρήσεις, αλλά και ευρύτερα στο πάνελ, πώς μπορεί μέσα σε αυτό το περιβάλλον των προκλήσεων μια επιχείρηση που δραστηριοποιείται στον ευρύτερο κλάδο των τροφίμων και διανομής
of challenges, especially at the field of distribution, to have the chance in order to promote the competitive advantage might have. Who would like to respond? Mr. Petalas, with his great experience, goes first. Thank you, Nico. Competitiveness advantage is the effort of a company. Competitive advantage is the effort of a company to have to provide a better experience to shopping and better product and better prices. Sounds easy, it's not. It is very difficult, but this is the field of great competitiveness, and that's why businesses, especially the retail businesses, the retail companies, should all the time invest and reinvest to digital technology, to invest to their personnel, to green development in order to be able to provide to the consumer better solutions from the unexpected. As far as we talk about food, we have also the food issue also and the agricultural products too. As you already know, Greek consumers are fond of local products. They think, they believe that they are better, and sometimes this is true. So sometimes the supermarket could have a good relation, a good cooperation with the supply chain and work more efficiently in order to bring these products to the fork of the consumer in a better price and in a better time. Some supermarket chains try to do it, but it is difficult enough. So the competitive advantage is to cover the expectations of the consumer. As you have already mentioned, the fragmentation of production in Greece.
Κοιτάξτε, αυτό είναι ένα μεγάλο κεφάλαιο. Υπάρχουν αρκετές χώρες.
What can we do in Greece? Look, there are many countries that producers have achieved to cooperate, a good cooperation, and giving priority to the result and not to their selfness. According to my point of view, this does not happen in Greece. We can see that many producers and retailers in Greece want to have their own business and not to cooperate to work with others. If they work together and people who want, businesses, companies who want to work together and cooperate is very difficult, and there aren't enough. However, this is necessary because it affects the society and there is no other solutions. Of course, there are businesses that work in a cooperativeness in Greece, but are the minority. And of course, I'm not talking about only businesses which work together, but for businesses that through their cooperation achieved to provide better and cheaper products. Mr. Pagoulatos would like to add something?
Πρώτα απ' όλα δεν θα διαφωνήσω γιατί δόθηκε πάρα πολύ ωραία ο ορισμός του ανταγωνιστικού πλεονεκτήματος από τον κύριο Πεταλά.
I have the same point of view and the only thing I can say is to build on what Mr. Petalas said and say how we can achieve this goal. More or less we have already talked about the challenges, but the thing is, what are the businesses, what the businesses can do back to its procedure in order to face these challenges. And these challenges are to go back to the chances. What all of us should do is to face the problems, address the cause of the problem, and examine what are the steps we can take in order to escape this problem. For example, we have talked about the supply chain problems. Was already mentioned the cooperation with local suppliers. And it is very important. For example, if we take products from a certain region, if I can increase my cooperation with local suppliers, I can have the product in a better price.
Από ένα παράδειγμα στη δικιά μας την εταιρεία, όπου από πέρσι έχουμε ξεκινήσει ένα project συμβολιακής γεωργίας.
I can give an example of our own as far as the digital agriculture is concerned. We have already in our company a cooperation contract with a farmer for the digitalized production of a certain category of tomatoes. And we know exactly the imported product that we are going to take. So we are looking for the better way to overcome the obstacle, to overcome the problem and the challenges. Based on what you have already talked, in Greece, we have a problem, generally speaking, in the agricultural field, that the consumers, the producers, they firstly the producers couldn't follow the market. They couldn't follow the needs of the market. They first produced and then released the product to the market. This is correct what you say, and this could be part of the solution of the food crisis. At this time we face extreme weathers, fires, and other environmental issues that affect the production. If we want to be real, we have to admit that this problem will exist tomorrow too. This will be the surrounding, with many ups and downs in the temperature. If the question comes to the agricultural products, you already know how difficult it is for a plant to grow in extreme temperatures, especially when the ups and downs are extremes. So either we have to go back to the primary sector and give other agricultural methods, or to change our crops.
Ευχαριστούμε. Άρα προσαρμοστικότητα είναι το κλειδί εδώ.
So adaptation is the key word here. Mr. Georgakellos, do you have any remark for the reinforce of the competitive advantage? Let me build on Mr. Pagoulatos. The cooperation, the collaboration. I'm not saying exactly for the creation of a competitive advantage. If, let's say, you want to have your brand, if you want your brand to be competitive and for your product to be released to the end consumer ready and competitive, then the cooperation between the producers, since we are talking about products such as the wheat, we have a contract farming that
το σύνολο των αναγκών μας σε πρώτη ύλη, στη βασική μας πρώτη ύλη,
our need for more than 8-9 years of primary products. We have a contract farming with more than 2,000 farmers.
Και με μια συνεχόμενη συνεργασία με τους ανθρώπους αυτούς και με τους traders των περιοχών,
continuous cooperation with these people and along with these regions,
και σε εμάς διασφαλίζει την πρόσβαση στην πρώτη ύλη σε κάθε συνθήκη δύσκολη, όπως είδαμε με τον πόλεμο στην Ουκρανία που επηρέασε τις αγορές των εισιτήρων. Και είναι παραδείγματα τέτοια τα οποία μπορεί να αξιοποιηθούν.
No matter how the situation is, no matter the war, for example, we have seen the war in Ukraine. So this cooperation with the primary sector is of strategic meaning, especially for a country like Greece, because they bring the end consumer to a relation with the product through a chain which is completely regulated.
Να δίνουμε σπόρους στους γεωργούς οι οποίοι και την παραγωγικότητά τους αυξάνουν και την ποιότητα του προϊόντος του δικού μας βελτιώνουν. Και όλο αυτό να σε οδηγήσει τελικά στο να έχεις το σωστό προϊόν, το σωστό brand
the universities by giving to the farmers the necessary seeds. And also with the supermarkets where the final product, the end product is sold. And then finally, the most important part of the competitive advantage of a company is its manpower and how this manpower is able to work in a surrounding which always changes, and how their employer is able not only to keep the manpower satisfied, but also to keep them by their side, to keep them as supporters of him.
Thank you very much. So, adapting and cooperating, and of course what we're doing with people, how we're treating them. Miss Antonakaki, would you like to make a comment? Yes, I'll build up as well to what's been said and focus more in this framework of climate change and how we can examine all of those things and make them, turn them into chances. In 2010, we published the first results for the climate change report. Everything we had foreseen for the agricultural sector was not good. We have also kept up, and last year we published the new results. and updated the results, and Ms. Karamanos will tell you more things. So that means we need to adjust in a new climate, adjust an adjustment for all the sector of the Greek economy. This is an effort that has started with the National Strategic Plan. In 2010, there was a plan, and we contributed as well from our sector, and there is also right now a new plan, a new life plan that of course gives us new directions on how we can adapt, and close to the end of 2026 we will have another position because the European framework ends and we will move into a new one. What do I want to say with this? That these strategies gives us a plan. Based on these strategies, we create the regional plans, how to combat the climate crisis and climate change for businesses, for farmers, for producers, and all the people that need to adjust their businesses, how they work. They need to adjust their products, their strategies into a new climate. So, understanding where we're moving towards, in what kind of a climate, how things are working and will be working, will give them the chance to see what are the real chances and how we're able to adapt. Of course, there will be a competitive advantage for them to be able to take over, and that is all because their adaptation to the new environment. Now let's see the importance of the regulatory framework. We have the CSRD, the CSR triple D, all the EU regulatory framework. These are not just there for bureaucracy reasons. They are, of course, directives that can lead a business and a whole country into new chances, into new opportunities that will lead us to something greener, something more sustainable. One question. For this whole planning, we see that there was an effort to quickly shift to a greener economy, but there was we hadn't up until then seen a maturity to of the businesses into this sector. Other businesses did not have the means to do this transition, and many of those directives did not take into consideration the sustainability of the businesses. The directives were not mature enough, the framework and the time schedule was not enough, the businesses were not mature. So we see in the USA some industries are being replaced. We see better conditions there. There are lower taxes, easier ways to get loans, to get subsidies. If I may add to this question of Mr. Kalarrytis, because we see the return of Donald Trump into the White House, and that will mean on a global level that this change will influence this green transition. Thank you both for these questions. I'll reply very shortly with my personal opinions. I'm not here to represent the opinions of the Bank of Greece. On a European level, the legislation
η κανονιστική προσέγγιση της Επιτροπής είναι προς τη σωστή κατεύθυνση σίγουρα.
How the coordination approach of the Commission is moving towards is one of adaptation, is one of wanting to make a change. So I'm talking also about all of those changes that the regulations and the regulatory framework that would make those changes quicker and more immediate.
Αν για παράδειγμα εν μέσω της υγειονομικής κρίσης του COVID
if we had
ευρωπαϊκή ταξινομία για να μας πει τι είναι
the EU taxonomy during the pandemic crisis in order to distinguish what is green and what is not, then that would mean that we would be slower on the uptake on this transition.
Ναι, υπάρχουν οι εθνικές πολιτικές, υπάρχουν οι ευρωπαϊκές πολιτικές.
Of course, you talked about the sustainability. There are different types of policies, European, national, etc. But we need to examine the resources and how sustainable they are and the decisions as well.
Έρχονται να προλάβουν και την μεταγενέστερη βιωσιμότητα των επιχειρήσεων.
So all of those decisions and the legislations are there and act proactively to be the readiness of the businesses. And of course, we've read the Draghi report and we've read what has been written there about the competitiveness.
Προχωρήσει αυτό. Ακόμη και τα προηγούμενα
We always need to see how the regulatory framework is going to continue, is going to shape up.
Των Ηνωμένων Πολιτειών σε εθνικό επίπεδο, μεγάλο ποσοστό των επιχειρήσεων
συνέχισε όπως ήταν να προχωρήσει πάλι και στο κομμάτι του πράσινου. Favorable environment in the USA for the change of different industries, there were certain industries that kept running the way they were. So we just need to adapt and see what's new coming in. Would you like to add something? Well, from the consumer side, we are the end consumers, so we receive the end product. As a union, of course, we need to be aware of all of these, we need to be aware of all of those products, and I would say that a business that can be competitive and have a competitive advantage and will also be present in the market for the foreseeable future, that means that this business can give, this business will be a business that has quality products in a low price. Thank you very much. Let's stay on this topic with quality products on a low price.
Έχουμε την ακρίβεια, σωστά. Σε τι βαθμό μπορεί να συμβάλλει στην αποκλιμάκωση της προτάσεως, στην αγορά τροφίμων μιλώντας κυρίως, κάθε ένας από τους βασικούς παίκτες στην εφοδιαστική αλυσίδα και στην αγορά.
The supply actors play a role into this, into the supply chain. For example, the Greek production companies, foreign manufacturers.
Μόνο από εκεί θα προέλθει η βελτίωση.
We see a lot of emphasis given in the retail trade. Is this the only way to see an improvement? Well, on our behalf, yes, we do agree that there are a lot of sectors that contribute to the end product and the cost of the products, as well as the quality. I would say that we see that the farmer is, of course, dissatisfied because they are selling the products very low, and the consumers are not happy because they're buying everything very expensive. So let's see what's the middleman doing, who is having excessive profit. We need to have stable prices because right now the market is uncontrolled. We've seen products being 100, 200 to 300 more expensive than a couple of years ago. And something we heard yesterday, the peppers from Florina area. So the producer is selling them from 0.25 and the supermarket, the consumer buys them for €5 per kilo. So this is a 1,000% increase in the price.
Ωραία. Για να το κάνουμε λίγο πιο ενδιαφέρον, ο κύριος Πεταλάς,
to make it more interesting, Mr. Petalas, what do you have to answer to this? You are the representative of the Supermarkets Association. Well, this is a big debate right now in place. There are a lot of myths there, a lot of realities as well. But what's real everywhere, not only in Greece, is that the supply chain is international, is global, but the available income is local, as well as the taxes.
Βλέπετε ότι δεν έχει ελαιόλαδο στην Ισπανία, που είναι ο μεγαλύτερος παραγωγός, και ανεβαίνουν οι τιμές σε όλο τον πλανήτη στο ελαιόλαδο.
Spain, for example, has no olive oil, but the prices are higher all over the world. And this is the result of the financial well-being of the country. So it is true that Greek consumers, as I said earlier, they don't only have to go through everything that the whole world had to go through, the pandemic crisis, the COVID crisis, the climate change. They had to face a huge financial and monetary crisis since 2009 that limited their disposable income, that limited the income in Greece. So we're talking about 90% of the, compared to the European standards, and that went to 50%. Their disposable income. So people can feel that. They can feel the need to continue living their lives, and they're becoming more expensive. We also see increase all around our taxes. We have the highest VAT on products as well. We have the highest tax and the highest increase on the energy consumption and the consumption tax as well on different products.
Για όσους έχουν εύκολες λύσεις ή έχουν καταγγελτικές λύσεις.
So for everybody that have easy solutions or final solutions, they might want to propose easy solutions. Well, do supermarkets have a huge profit? Well, you can read our statements. We release them, we publish them every year, and you can see if we're having a huge profit or not. In 2023, the results from the supermarket before taxes was 1.8%. Their turnover, the investments that need to be conducted in order to meet the expectations of the consumers, and also improve the whole experience of the consumer, which means we need to change all the refrigerators to become more greener, climate friendlier. Also, we need to change all the trucks, all the transportation means. That means that our investments are double
για τους μετόχους. Πρέπει να βρεθούν πόροι για να μπορούν αυτός ο κλάδος να επενδύει για το μέλλον.
For our
και δεν μπορούν να υπάρχουν. Όταν ο καταναλωτής πιέζεται, δεν μπορεί να έχει υπερκέρδη. Δεν γίνεται να έχει υπερκέρδη.
If the consumer is having to face a lot of stress, the economy does as well, and the supermarkets do as well.
Του εισοδήματος, που είναι περιορισμένο.
This is all because there is limited disposable income.
Νομίζω πως όχι. Αυτό που πρέπει να γίνει
είναι να μπορεί to find a solution to this?
Να προσπαθεί να βρίσκει συνεχώς. Ανέφερα προηγουμένως, ειδικά για τα τρόφιμα.
Part of the supply chains, the production supply chains, should be able to find their own solutions. They should be able to cooperate better with other businesses, for example, the farmers, with the retailers, wholesalers, etc., so that the consumers can buy these products at lower prices. Well, we've seen recent changes. The disposable income is slowly increasing, but it cannot pose an answer to inflation. And we have the issue of the cost of energy, which has also increased a lot. And this is a thing that concerns the farmers as well, the breeders as well. We also need for the taxes to be lowered. And then let's talk about the issue about the fiscal balance. Do we need to have more inflation or make sure that this balance, the fiscal balance, is great? Well, we have a lot of things to blame for. For example, the Olympic Games. Nobody thought we could do that. And the other thing is that we had to adapt to fiscal measures that were posed on us that we had to follow even if we couldn't. Apart from all of this, we need to find ways to reduce the taxes, and each player, each part of this chain need to find their own solutions. I don't have any fixed answers. I'm sorry. I think Mr. Petalas, Mr. Georgakellos, and Mr. Pagoulatos, you could answer as well.
Το μεγαλύτερο έλλειμμα δικό μας, μεγαλύτερη υστέρηση, πού είναι, πού εντοπίζεται, στη φορολογία, στην γραφειοκρατία?
As far as the competitors is concerned of the Greek supermarkets in Europe, what is our greatest deficit, let's say, shortcoming? Look, the fragmentation of the production is a very important issue, especially for the scale economies. There is a great fragmentation of prices, production, products. So it is a matter of organization of the supply chain and of the ability of the manpower to cooperate in order to produce a good result, not only for themselves and their production, but also for the society. So this is one thing. Then, when we have the production in big units, for example, Israel is a very good example of a very small country, more or less like Greece, that they have managed not only to cooperate but also to create innovations as far as the technology is concerned, to find better and cheaper products. So this is effective, this is achievable, but we have to change the mentality, we have to make it our part of our culture. First of all, as far as Europe is concerned,
Νομίζω ότι το βασικότερο απ' όλα είναι να γυρίσουμε πίσω και να δούμε.
I think that the main thing to do is to address of what exactly is going on, because I think we don't know exactly what happens, or at least we don't have the necessary information.
Στα μαχλάδια θέλουμε να βάλουμε και τις τιμές. Και να δούμε τελικά κοστίζει το ίδιο ένα μήλο και ένα μαχλάδι.
We compare different things. We compare different things actually, so this comparison is not effective. We should compare same products between them to take an effective result. And of course, it's not a study from a supermarket, let's say.
Σε ένα πλήθος καλαθιού, πόσο, και μιλάμε για όλες τις χώρες της Ευρώπης. Στο Απόστολο, αν θυμάμαι καλά, είναι σε όλες τις χώρες.
Is a problem for all the countries in Europe. We make comparisons every semester of 6,000 products in 9 countries in Europe. And so the same products in order to be able to compare them. So as we're talking about the inflation too,
πρέπει να συνειδητοποιήσουμε
we have
ότι τα προϊόντα που βρίσκονται στο
to
καλάθι
understand that these
τα
products
οποία είχαν μπει
are
πριν από
products
30-40 χρόνια και δεν έχουν
that
ανανεωθεί
were
ακόμα.
also in the basket of every household even 30 years before. So, and they're not renovated. So olive oil has 15% updated at the inflation value. So if we are trying to measure the inflation value in England, for example, then the value is 0.1%. So how can we compare these two different dimensions? What I want to say is, when we compare things, we should compare same things between them. And as I cannot overcome myself and the delegation, I have heard you talked about peppers of Florina, about 0.25 per kilo. Okay, just give me the number of the producer and I'll call him to buy.
Ο κ. Πεταλάς τα είπε σχεδόν όλα.
Mr. Petalas talked almost about everything.
Παρά τις δυσκολίες που έχει η Ελλάδα σαν χώρα, καταρχάς,
despite the difficulties we have, the logistics, the morphology, we cannot compare ourselves with the country which doesn't have the same surface and the same number of islands.
Είμαστε από πάρα πολλές απόψεις μια ευλογημένη χώρα, σε μια ευλογημένη γεωγραφία και περιοχή, αλλά εν πάση περιπτώσει είμαστε σε ένα κέντρο γεωπολιτικών εντάσεων,
geography and geopolitics is concerned. We have talked about the tax frames.
Αλλά είπατε για την Ισπανία, για το ελαιόλαδο αντίστοιχα.
Also you referred the olive oil of Spain, that at the supermarket almost 40% refers to the taxes.
62 λεπτά στο λίτρο που λέμε εμείς στην Ισπανία, που υπόθηκε για το ελαιόλαδο, για την πύρα του Άττικου είναι 6 φορές λιγότερο, είναι 10 cents το λίτρο, ή για τη Γερμανία που έχει 15 πλάσια σε σχέση με εμάς κατά κεφαλή κατανάλωση, είναι 4 φορές χαμηλότερος ο ειδικός φόρος κατανάλωσης. Υπάρχουν πάρα πολλές παράμετροι δηλαδή, οι οποίες παίζουν ρόλο στη διαμόρφωση της τιμής. Παρ' όλα αυτά, οι εταιρείες μπορούν να βρουν τις οικονομίες κλίμακας μέσα από τις συνεργασίες και με τους προμηθευτές τους και με τους
the scale economies through the cooperation and also through the suppliers of other
products. Το πλαίσιο μέσα στο οποίο λειτουργεί η ενέργεια στην Ελλάδα είναι γνωστό. Μπορούμε όμως εμείς με τις δικές μας προσπάθειες να μειώσουμε την ενέργεια που καταναλώνουμε.
Via our try, we can reduce what we consume. So actually, the reduce of the resources, of the use of the resources, is the main way to address the climate changes. For example, are we able to reduce the water use? This will also have a payback because during the years we will have a payback not only for the companies but also for the consumers. We give chances, bigger or smaller, to the food chain. There are chances along the food chain. Built on what was said by Mrs. Antonakaki for the adaptation to the green transition, it is well known that there was a study on the technology. So Mrs. Antonakaki clarified what is green and what is not green energy.
πηγές ενέργειας οι οποίες ήταν εκτός, παραδείγματος χάρη πυρηνική ενέργεια. Έχει ξεκινήσει στην Ελλάδα η συζήτηση για τους μικρούς αρθρωτούς πυρηνικούς αντιδραστήρες, ούτως ώστε να πέσει το κόστος, το είπε και ο Πρωθυπουργός. Άρα έχουμε μια στροφή από την Ευρώπη για λόγους οικονομικής επιβίωσης. Η Ευρώπη ευθύνεται για το 8% της παγκόσμιας περιβαλλοντικής
επιβάρυνσης. Europe is blamed for the 8% of the energy burden, so however, it still has the root.
Την πρόταση για να γίνει πρώτη δοκιμαστική γεώτρηση ανοιχτά της Κρήτης.
However, the first
ένα από τα εκτιμόμενα κοιτάσματα είναι 650 δισεκατομμύρια κυβικά μέτρα. Αυτό θεωρητικά θα μπορούσε να καλύψει τις ανάγκες Ελλάδος για 100 χρόνια.
So we see right now this application from Greece for drilling to be done north of Crete in order to find more natural gas. So what is going to be called as green and what not? So is this list going to change? Well, it is well known that the energy cost is one of the main factors that burdens and increases the prices.
Υπάρχει αυτή τη στιγμή το εθνικό σχέδιο για
Yes, right now we have the National Plan of Energy and the Climate. We, as the National Bank of Crete, we are not running such reports or surveys, but there is one done from the government and the institutes, and this will be submitted to the European Commission. And there is a clear planning on how we're going to make this transition during the next few years, and what kind of role will be given to each energy source. And this is a very ambitious goal.
Που μπορεί να φτάσει ο ενεργειακός τομέας στην Ελλάδα. Αυτό που επίσης
and we will see what kind of a level will reach the energy sector in Greece.
Που διαμορφώνονται για τους διάφορους τομείς.
We're talking about the different transition pathways that are being created for all these different industries.
Κάθε κλάδος, η κάθε επιχείρηση εκεί που ανήκει
So slowly but surely each industry will see what they're going to choose in the future, how they're going to transition, and they will be able to, of course, make their own minds in order to be able to adapt, not only financially, but also to adapt in a different environment, a different climate. That was mentioned in this panel very clearly. They talked about the essence of what it means that we are going to adapt and prepare for this adaptation, and what this means for the agricultural sector. One last comment for the financing sector. We will need quite important financing measures. We also have in our mind different examples from different institutions that are preparing their own clients for with transition plans, because not only green transitions and green plans will be financed and need to be financed, but everyone that needs to create and plan a transition to a greener future. A small add-on to this, the companies are able to take advantage of the different opportunities given by the European institutions and European projects. We're talking about different actions that bring different investments, and they will improve the footprint of a company through digitalization, for example, and they will, of course, have the profit to their own business cost. So if we use the available tools differently and for a different goal, then we create a business case that it does not pose a burden.
Να προσθέσω και εγώ κάποια πράγματα.
I would also like to add to this.
Λειτουργικό κόστος των επιχειρήσεων είναι ένα
So the cost for running down a business is of course very high, and we cannot compare it and be competitive compared to other European businesses, because we have a lot of differences. For example, the energy prices. Spain buys the energy for 75 euros per megawatt, while we can buy it, and this has reached up to 200 euros per megawatt. This is a huge difference. So we foresee and we want to see how the AI will be implemented so that it changes the future in the trade sector, how this will shape up the production. We see new tools, new machines that use AI. Thank you. Does anybody here from the speakers would like to add something to what's been said?